Hi, welcome to Don't Quote Us, and today we're just going to be going over some recent Nintendo news that's kind of come up since they had their investors briefing, and things didn't go perfect, but we'll get into it. So one of the things they talked about with the investors that they had already told us, the fans, is Metroid Prime 4 is going to be delayed probably like 2 or 3 years, and I mean, that's a little bit disappointing to hear, but I'm glad they stopped it if it was going to be crap.
I'm not disappointed by it. Given the fact that they felt the need to say, we're scrapping everything that's currently been developed for it right now, you know what? Am I disappointed by the delay? Yes. However, I am happy. I am actually overall happy because that means they want to make sure we get a good product. And Metroid's kind of a flagship title. It's huge. If you're not going to get it right, don't do it.
Yeah, but that means it's even longer, kind of, before we get any good shooters. I mean,
yeah,
first-person
I get
shooter,
that.
I guess.
I get that, but I'd rather have a good one than one that was done half-heartedly.
Yeah, and they went back to Retro Studios, which are the ones who brought us the first 3 great games, which Nintendo, get those out now. I mean, we need get the trilogy out there. Let us experience that. Let us burn through that. Maybe it'll tide us over for 3 years. Maybe.
Well, Prime 3 definitely can work well. We've already got the Joy-Cons, which are similar enough to the nunchucks from the Wii. So we've got the controls in there to run with that. And I believe that there was a re-released version on the Wii of Metroid Prime 1 and 2 that had those controls in there. So yeah,
that's correct.
Bring them out on the Switch. It's perfect. Give us something to kind of keep us satiated.
Yeah, we need something. So Nintendo, during the investor briefing, they did come out and they did talk about how many they sold and everything, and software sales have been booming more than they thought they would.
Yes.
And I mean, look at the eShop if you need to know why. I mean, it's crazy.
The indie titles out there are fantastic.
And they're good quality, some of them. Good quality.
There's some shovelware in there, I won't deny that.
Yeah, it's getting to be like Steam, where you got to kind of sift through the stuff and figure out what's good. Hard with no ratings because they don't have that feature.
That's true, but I will say, for those of you that are looking on the eShop and don't know whether these games are good, go to Steam.
Yep.
Go to Steam and you can look at the reviews on there. Because for whatever reason, the Nintendo's not going to give us the chance to look at reviews on there. Fine, I'm going to go look at Steam and I'm going to see if this game is good or if it's just not worth my time. And I've done that already more than a few times.
And some of the indie games, you can find them on Metacritic and stuff as
Exactly.
well. So do your research. Don't just buy something because it's cheap.
Yep.
But
sometimes
anyway.
cheap is just really cheap and bad.
But speaking of games that we may not know are good or not, Nintendo said they got an unannounced game that they haven't announced for fiscal year 2019. So that means somewhere between April of this year and March of 2020, we're going to get some new game from Nintendo that we're not aware of.
Which should mean that it should be some core flagship Nintendo property.
Now, could it be a re-release? The rumors were Link's Awakening earlier this year, that there'd be a Zelda game this year. And it'd be Link's Awakening using not the Breath of Wild engine, but using the engine that they built for the Link Between Worlds. Porting that over from the 3DS to the Switch, and then using that engine.
Now I could see that, because Link's Awakening took place, or came out, I believe, after Link to the Past. And it was done on the original DS, but its style was done in the 3/4 overhead, very much of the Link to the Past style that we saw on the Super Nintendo. So, given the fact that we've got an updated engine for Link Between Worlds, it looks very much like the Link to the Past in a lot of regards. Could I see them bringing over Link's Awakening? Sure. They could also wind up going even further with that, and we could wind up seeing Oracle of the Seasons and Oracle of the Ages. And any of those original Game Boy Zelda games that were done on the old black and white ones, they could be updated and brought into it.
There you go.
That's very much something that they could do.
Yeah, and I'm just thinking about it, I think I brought this up in another video, but I'd love to see more Zelda content. Even if it's re-releases of the old Game Boy games, brought up to a little better graphics and such, because they have such a wide library of titles they could re-release on the Switch. And, the rumors going around still, new Breath of the Wild game next year. Some game in that engine, I guess I should say, not Breath of the Wild itself.
Look, you've got a beautiful engine with that game. It's really not that difficult at that point to use the existing engine and to create a new game. I mean, yes, it's difficult. Yes, it's going to take time. But you have it built. Use it. Traditionally, Nintendo has created a new engine for almost every single one of their Zelda games, and that's a huge development cost and time. They could churn out a Zelda game about once every, they could go the Ubisoft route and turn out a Zelda game every year.
Don't do that. 2 to 3 years.
Not unless you've got enough development teams to turn out quality products.
Right.
That's the one thing. Always, particularly for Zelda, turn out a quality product or don't turn it out.
Right. And on the mobile side, Nintendo's delayed World Tour, they said because of the quality, since you're bringing up quality, but they actually announced a Dr. Mario mobile game is going to be made for cell phone stuff, and that fits.
But it's Dr. Mario.
Dr. Mario on a cell phone, yeah.
Sure.
Just have it in vertical mode and you got it.
Exactly.
Easy. I think that's going to be good to delay World Tour. They said it's only a delay till summer, so it's not like a year or anything, but I really have no idea what that Mario Kart experience is going to be like on a cell phone. I really just don't know what that's going to be like. I hope they said they delayed it because of the quality and they wanted to, polish it up, but I have my doubts about Mario Kart being good on a cell phone, sitting there tilting. I don't know.
You can pull that off. And let's face it, a lot of people now have larger cell phones.
Tablet.
Well, that too, sure, definitely. But a lot of it, what's going to really boil down to is how good that tilt sensor is on that phone, if that's going to be their play control style, and their internet connection. Now, can I see someone be able to play it really well at home when you're on a Wi-Fi connection? Yeah, sure, because that's what we're already doing with our Switches and everything now anyway. Do I see someone being able to play a really good game of Mario Kart out and about on 3 or 4G? No. No, I don't.
Not really. Well, the only other thing I guess I wanted to mention is their online. Nintendo reported about an 8 million adoption rate. You have 32 million Switches out there, 25% not liking the number. And I don't think they do either, because they did say, and I think you heard the same news as I did, that they're going to do some other online offering.
They're talking on doing a second tier offering. They haven't really gone into much detail about what that's going to be, but they are talking about that. Now, we were having some discussions on things beforehand, what I would really like to see optimally for Nintendo, and I really want Nintendo to do well on this, but they've got to get their act together for their online architecture. They need to take off the kid gloves. They need to give us the full online architecture. And honestly, Nintendo, look at Microsoft. Look at Microsoft and what they're doing with their online architecture and follow suit. Because nobody, not Sony, not Nintendo, nobody has gotten a game console online architecture better than Microsoft. Yeah. They have got it down pat. They have got it down perfect. It's one of the only things that I would say that Microsoft has consistently gotten right every single gen when it comes to the Xbox. But their online architecture has never failed. And if you want to be successful, mimic them.
Oh, definitely. And I was hoping that's what they were going to do. There's been times I've hoped Microsoft and Nintendo would team up and Nintendo would just make games for Microsoft's
That would be
console.
a powerhouse.
They have talked about, with that, the new president over there has talked about, hey, we're not going to always be making hardware. Maybe they do eventually go and team up with Microsoft and just make games for Microsoft's console. Doesn't mean Microsoft owns Nintendo. Just Nintendo starts putting games out on their console exclusively. Something like that, because, God, Smash Brothers Online is just rough. It is so rough to play. I feel like I'm playing freeze tag.
But I think that was a fair statement from the president of Nintendo. Let's face it, so many people are speculating that eventually we're going to see an end to physical consoles. We're going to go to cloud streaming anyway. If that ever happens, then no one's going to be making consoles.
Right.
It's just going to be software developers.
Yep. And Google getting in there, Apple's getting in there, Amazon's getting in there. Microsoft is saying that they're going to be able to play. You'll be able to play it on an iPhone, play a Microsoft game.
Yep.
Off of an Xbox in California or somewhere. It's crazy. Where the world's going is crazy. But that's just a little bit of Nintendo news we wanted to give to you and some of our opinions. If you got any comments or opinions of your own, leave them down in the comments.
Please remember to like and subscribe.
Yep. And as always,
don't quote us.
Thanks.